Okay, so tell me when did you decide to leave the United States and move to Romania, Johnny?
When did I decide? So I moved January 2018,
That's a year ago.
2 years,
2 years ago.
almost 2 years now. 2018, January 2018. I first I moved there um, by doing a volunteer program, and it was in Pitești. And what I had to do was work about like part time, a little over part time hours per week, and they provided accommodation and some food. And I had to teach high school kids like self development stuff in in the classroom. So I had to do like activities and stuff like that. It was all in English. And after that finished in Pitești, I moved to Bucharest because I wanted to see what it's like to live there. And I lived in a big house that's like it had 14 bedrooms, 12 bedrooms. There was like 10 people living there, so it was a big house. And after living there, that's how I got the idea to start a business in Cluj.
So the organization that hired you to work in Romania, was that an NGO? Was that an American company? What was the setup?
Yeah, it was a nonprofit in Romania. It was called Școala de valori.
And how did you get recruited?
I found it on a website called Workaway, I think.
So that was after you graduated, right? So you
Yeah,
graduated from ASU in 2018?
I graduated from ASU in 2016.
2016 with a degree in.
Supply chain management and computer information systems.
Okay.
And I worked at Amazon for 9 months. And after working there, I started having some health problems and decided that I couldn't sit for long periods of times anymore. Like I couldn't drive anymore. I couldn't work at the computer anymore. So I wanted to figure out what I wanted to do next. So that's when I traveled for a bit. For a month, I went to Asia. Then I came back and spent some time still trying to do other stuff and decided to go to Romania afterwards.
Okay. So that other stuff that you were doing in the meantime, was that something that did not meet your aspirations?
Yeah, no, it did. I mean, the other stuff I was doing gave me the flexibility I wanted and I enjoyed doing it. But the problem was the lifestyle here in this city. So no matter what I was doing, even if I enjoyed it, I wouldn't have enjoyed the lifestyle here.
What did you find unenjoyable about the lifestyle here?
Well, I wanted to implement more exercise in my life because of my hip problem.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, okay, well, I don't want to drive anymore. Well, you can't live here without driving. And if I wanted to move to a city in America where you don't have to drive and live in a part of town where it's cheap enough or where you're close enough to everything that you don't need a car, it's very expensive because there's not many places like that in America. Like there's San Francisco or New York, but those are very expensive cities.
Right.
So I knew I couldn't do that.
So many people work after college in all sorts of nonprofits and they travel the world. And it could have been anywhere. Why did you choose Romania?
Well, it was the most logical reason. It made most sense because I know Romanian. I can understand it perfectly. Not like 100%. I can speak it, but my grammar is not the best. But it's easy for me to get by because I already know the language. My other option was to go to Thailand. I don't know the language, and it's very different than everything I know. So I would have had to spend a lot of time just learning how to communicate, and I didn't want to do that. And I knew the country better. I knew where was the good places to go, where to live. So it was more about like it was the best option from what I had to choose from.
So many people who go to work abroad, they enjoy their experience, they feel fulfilled because they offer their help to people in need, and then they pack their bags and then they go back home. So, what motivated you not to do the same?
I didn't want to come back here. I didn't want to live back here. I mean, even now, I'm here just for a few weeks, a month or so, and I'm already sick and tired of the American way.
Like what? What makes you sick and tired?
So something I can do in Cluj that I can't do here is I can walk outside the front door. If I have a free day, I can just walk outside the front door and do anything random. I don't have to rely on my car, and I can decide then and there what to do. But here, when you walk outside your front door, you have to know where you're going because you get in your car and then you just go to the next place. There's nothing you can do in between. I mean, yeah, I guess you can stop somewhere, but it's not that easy. It's harder to coordinate with other people. If you have a car and then once alcohol is involved, you don't want to drink and drive. So going out with friends can also be more difficult to coordinate, and because distances are greater, if you don't want to drink and drive, you have to pay for a lift, which is much more expensive here because of the distance. So there's a lot of reasons.
So you have grandparents in Romania, and I know you made several trips as a child, and you had a very good idea about what to expect there as a tourist. What were your expectations while you were living here and planning to move there? How did you imagine your life from here?
Yeah,
What were your expectations?
my expectations. Well, honestly, I didn't know what to expect because I knew it was going to be very different. But that's why I only went there first on a volunteer basis and then on like a short-term kind of accommodation in Bucharest. I lived there for a month or two, and I did that because I wanted to see if I enjoyed it. And well, it wasn't too bad, so I said, okay, I'll take it the next step further and go to another city. I'll go to Cluj because I think Cluj is nicer. So I went there and spent some time there as well. And after spending just a few days, I was like, okay, well, I think I'm gonna start this business here because it looks like there's demand and it can work.
What business was that?
It's Airbnb business. So I rent a big apartment with 4 bedrooms and an office room, and like the bathrooms are both common bathrooms. Areas like there's common areas, and so I live in 1 bedroom and rent out the rest on Airbnb. And um, I got really lucky with this place that I found, so I decided to go through with that plan and live there. But I also recognize like where you live in the city and who you live with is a big influences you a lot, especially when you're in a new city and you don't know anyone. So I wanted to make sure that I was gonna have this kind of good atmosphere, which is what I had in Bucharest because there was already a house there that was doing this, but there wasn't anything like that in Cluj when I arrived. So I decided, okay, well if I start it, then it'll be my own business, right?
So of course you share that with the neighbors and the people that you met there. I'm assuming you started meeting people, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And you were like, okay, so here I am, Johnny from Arizona. I decided to move to Cluj. What was their reaction? What did people say?
Everyone thinks I'm crazy. Everyone who asks me like, why did you move from America? Everyone wants to move to America. Why did you come from America back to Romania? You're crazy, blah blah blah. But they don't understand what Cluj has to offer. But I mean, it's important also to see the difference between like you can't just say came from America to Romania. You have to say came from Phoenix to Cluj. The cities make the biggest difference. Like for example, the weather in Phoenix is hot and hotter. That's all they have. Whereas in Cluj they have 4 seasons. But other cities in America also has 4 seasons. So one of the big reasons was because of the weather. And you can't just say America versus Romania, right? And most people don't know all the cities in America, so it's hard for them to understand. That's essentially it. They're just hard for them to understand.
So there was very little support from people, from locals, or very little understanding.
Little understanding, but they do support. I can tell that when I tell them, they're just like, "Wow, that's amazing. You're really ambitious." Blah blah blah. Like they appreciate it, but most of them don't understand.
Hmm. So you found a house, you decided to rent it out, and that provided some income for you, right?
Yeah, yeah.
At least from that point of view, you were sort of set.
Yeah, so as far as cost of living, I was able to reduce it a lot through this business because, I mean, I don't have to pay for rent, but I still need to work because I need to pay for groceries and other stuff, right?
So you purchased the apartment.
No, I just rent it, and then I rent it even further.
So you're subleasing as an Airbnb.
Exactly, so I'm subleasing it. And the business title, the name of what I'm doing is called Coliving. If you heard of it before, essentially it's just like adult dorms. And the reason I give it that title is because it attracts a certain kind of clients. So I don't get any random person there. I can charge more, and that means I don't have like weirdos stay at my place.
So it is an Airbnb, right?
Yeah, pretty much it is, but it's also a co-living business.
Okay. So that provides for your basics, right? For
Yeah.
food and electricity and so on and so forth. But I'm assuming that's not enough.
Nope, it's not enough.
All right.
That's why I also work online. I mean, I used to teach Microsoft Excel online, which was good, but after I moved to Bucharest, it was bad because all my clients were from the United States, so I was working till 3 a.m. Now I just teach English online, but it doesn't make as much and it's a lot more competitive. So I've been working on other stuff as well because that was just like the easiest thing I could do in a short period of time. But I'm working on other online based projects that can bring me money. But I'm also expanding the co-living business. So I found a business partner and we found like a potential location. And when I get back, hopefully we can strike a deal.
Romanian business partner.
Yeah.
Same age, same.
Oh no, she's like twice my age.
Okay, how'd you find her?
She found me. So I put everything online, like what I'm planning to do with this co-living business, and I put a bunch of like I made a website for the place, and I posted like on the front page of the website like we are expanding. Here's a link to all the information, and I have a business plan and executive summary and analysis with Microsoft Excel, like in-depth analysis of all the expenses and income. And I guess she just found me. I don't know how. And she sent me an email and called me and said, "Hey, I want to work with you." Because
Invest in your business or
yeah, exactly.
work or
Both, I guess.
both?
Because she wants to have like a space where she can put on like workshops and public speaking stuff. And so she needs a space where she can do that. And she wants to make a co-working space. And a co-living space works hand in hand with a co-working space because people who stay there usually need a place to work. And it makes sense for them to do like both. The place where I stayed in Bucharest, they actually also made some changes and they converted some of the building that they had into a co-working space. So that I'm not the only one doing this as well.
So when she approached you, what did she say? What were the reasons why she wanted to work with you?
Well, yeah, I mean she wants to have that space where she can like give workshops and
Yeah, but did she? You said you had a business plan and everything was put together in a professional manner. Do you think that hasn't had anything to do with her approaching you?
oh yeah, like it all that stuff that I put online shows that I put time into it, researching it, and like I'm serious about it. So at one point she asked me, how do I know that you're like serious or committed?
Okay.
And all I had to do was just say, well, if you look at all the stuff I put online, you can tell I put a lot of time into it. So if I'm willing to do that, then I'm willing to take the next steps.
And all that stuff that you put together comes from your background and from your studies at ASU. So you have a set of.
Somewhat.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, my background in computer information systems definitely helped me with the analysis portion because I know how to use Excel really well and I know what's important and how to make it look pretty. But it also comes from like me and what I like to do. Um, but also my experience, like my experience with making a small co-living space on my own helped me understand the expenses and where the money should go, how much time will be invested into it. Like the first time I did it, I didn't accommodate for how much time it would take to get the place ready, to renovate it. And this next place will need some work too. So this time I included in the expenses like my time, the time that you'll have to pay me to manage the renovations and getting it started and everything.
Right. So this woman, does she have a business background? Does she have, or this person, let's call her a person,
Mm-hmm.
not to be specific. So, do you know anything about her? She's from Cluj, right?
Yeah, she's from Cluj. She has a few other businesses with her husband. um, like some production, like factory of some sort. But she has several other businesses. She told me all about them. I can't remember exactly what they are, but yeah, she has some experience with business, and she has other resources that I need help with as well, like someone that does all her taxes, because doing taxes in Romania is not easy, and stuff like that. So yeah, she has some experience.
Do you know if she lived abroad, if she traveled, if she had business relationships with people from abroad? How does the business acumen come in her case? Because if I would go back to Romania, I would be concerned about the way in which people handle their business. I would probably not trust their knowledge or trust their ethics or trust their, uh, I don't know, vision.
Yeah,
I'd be a little bit suspicious.
I know what you mean, and that's why when I want to do business with anyone, I just sit down and spend time with them, like just have a coffee and just talk to them, see what kind of person they are, just for me to understand how they operate. But yeah, she's traveled, and I think she's done some business internationally. I'm not too sure how much. But yeah, I spent a little bit of time with her and got to know her like over a coffee. But I think if we're gonna do this, we're gonna have to get to have to spend more time getting to know how we operate professionally and that sort of stuff, because I mean it's a partnership and it needs to work, right?
So you're still getting to know each other, or you actually started working together?
I mean, we did some of the research together. We laid out like a plan of what to do next and how each of us are going to split the responsibilities. And we went to see like a property, and I mean, yeah. So we spent some time together, but I mean, nothing is like a solid decision hasn't been made yet. So up until then, I'm still gonna just try to figure out like get to know her better and how she works professionally.
Is she the only person who solicited your business, or have there been others? Knowing
Other
that you're sort of like an American,
So other people that want to
work with you.
work with me.
Yeah.
I mean, for my first co-living business, the owner of the apartment, I guess, was my first business partner, because I mean, we had made an agreement, and he paid for like the furnishing and stuff like that, and he was fine with me operating it like this. I mean, I had to approach other people, and they said they're not okay with me renting out the place on Airbnb and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, he was my first business partner, and most people like don't really understand business. So even if I tell them about the idea and how I need help, they're just gonna be like, "What? I don't understand why," or blah blah blah. But some people are interested. Some people want to do it, but I don't want to partner up with them because they're not the kind of people I want to work with. They don't have the skills or the background or the personality. So it's not just about me, like it's not just about like me finding someone, it's also about them finding me. Like it's got to be a good fit.
But you had some attempts of people approaching you, right?
Yeah, but none of them were really too serious. There's always people that say, "Oh yeah, let's work together," and then they don't take the next step.
Because I would see that as something that people would do, because normally foreigners are pretty attractive, and you would want to partner with foreigners.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, that's also what kind of sets me apart and why I decided to go there, because I mean, I can speak Romanian, so I can get on their level in a way, and it builds more trust. So it saves me time if I want to try to develop trust with someone, if I want to work with them. And I think that's why it was relatively easy to start this first one for that reason. Like they probably realized, oh, okay, he's also Romanian. He understands us and how we work and this and that. But when I do approach these like business situations, I don't really like go by the Romanian rules of business. I go by the American way of doing business because it's less complicated.
But there's also a very, very big difference between the way of doing business in the United States and the one in Romania in terms of paperwork in terms of all the clerical stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Have you had, what kind of challenges have you had when you had to set up your business? Because here it's easy. You go online, you do your
Yeah.
stuff. There you sit in line for 5 hours for a signature.
Yeah. Exactly.
Can
I
you
don't.
think of certain instances, certain challenges on that level?
As far as paperwork, yeah. I mean, I outsource as much of the business paperwork, so I do my taxes here in the U.S. and even though the tax rate might be higher, I can do it all online. I have access to everything through the computers. I don't have to go to an office to do anything.
Your taxes, well, since you don't live here, do you still have to pay taxes in the States? Or you're doing
Only
your taxes for Romania here?
so I have I registered a company here in Phoenix,
Okay.
and the income that I make from all my businesses is on that name.
So
That
you pay taxes in the United States
yeah,
for an income that you make in Romania.
it's online. The income is online.
Okay.
That's the important thing.
And then you have to pay taxes in Romania too.
Well, the owner of the property pays taxes on the property. I only just pay rent because I'm just renting it out. But in the contract, I'm allowed to sublease it.
Okay. All right.
If I worked in Romania, I'll be paying taxes for working in Romania. But because I work online, that's not the case. So yeah, as far as paperwork goes, like for example, I did open up a bank account with my driver's license from Phoenix, and it required a lot of steps and paperwork, and it was very hard to access online, and I had to deal with them in person. So I just closed it and said I'm not going to deal with it. Um, but as far as like other paperwork, I knew it's complicated. I know it's a pain in the butt, so I avoid it at all costs. And that's why I do everything online, even though I have to pay higher taxes, because I don't have to go and stand 4 hours in line at an office in a specific city. Which, for example, like I'm in Phoenix now. If I have a problem, I'm not gonna be able to do anything about it in Cluj, right? And I've heard people say things like that. They have to go to a very specific location. Like when I wanted to close my bank account, I had to go to the same exact branch where I opened it. And that is stupid. That is just stupid. And if I don't have time to go, then what? I'm just gonna rack up fees for not being able to close it. And that's unacceptable to me. So my priority is being able to do it online. And when Romania implements a system where everything is done online, then that will fix a lot of their problems. Like I parked on a street somehow. I don't know. I got a ticket for parking bad, and to pay for this parking ticket, there was 2 hours where the office was open for 2 hours, or it was open for like in the corner of the other end of the city. It was open 2 times, 1 hour each, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. Both were times when I was working, when I was teaching, and so I couldn't go. I emailed them, I called them. They didn't answer the phone, and when I emailed them, they forwarded me to another person who forwarded me back to the original person so I said, all right, well, I'm not paying. If you're not going to do your job, I did my due diligence. I can't go. I have to work. Sorry. Like, if they implemented an online system, it would be so much easier because I don't have to go anywhere and I would be willing to pay it immediately. Like, it's that simple. So if that's simple, like paying a fee for your parking ticket is that complicated, I can only imagine how complicated it is for business. And I'm just not willing to do that. But that's why I need like a business partner who has experience doing that, because if I want to expand my business, I will have to deal with that in the future. And that's why this like business partner is valuable, because she has businesses in Romania. So she's gone through that.
Very clever. Uh, so tell me about your teaching.
On my teaching. So um, I started out teaching Microsoft Excel, and then I transitioned towards teaching English because I wanted to also develop another source of like passive income. So when I teach as a freelance online English teacher. So that means I have to make my own like web page and my own marketing and find my own clients and handle everything, payment processing, scheduling. I have to do everything myself. But because of that, when I make a lesson, I use 10 to 15 PowerPoint slides for each lesson with a certain format, which can be used by other teachers really easily. So I've been doing that for a while, and the reason behind that was because I'm going to start selling these online. I recently uploaded these online, and hopefully other teachers will find them and buy them so that they can use them to teach their students. And it makes sense because like it takes me an hour, 2 hours to make each lesson, and it shows that like it's good quality and you're willing to invest in your students, and it provides consistent quality, and it saves you time because you don't have to prepare for a lesson. So that's kind of like the plan. But these lessons don't sell that well because teaching English is a very competitive market online, and not many people do it as a freelance teacher, and not a lot of teachers understand how to market themselves online. So the problem with that is like finding teachers who need these lessons to teach their students as a freelance online English teacher.
So you basically have virtual a virtual classroom, or do you actually have students who at a certain time of the day will log on into a chat room and you teach your lesson? Is that
Yeah,
how it works?
exactly. So like Skype, I actually use something called Zoom,
Yeah,
but it's just like a webcam.
right. We use it at ASU.
Yeah, everyone uses Zoom, but it's just yeah, I we use a webcam and I share my screen. I pull up the document and I ask them to read the prompts on the screen, like the questions and the vocabulary and the reading, and then I correct them if they make mistakes. I type out their mistakes so they can visually see it. And the reason why students like that is because they can hear English from like a native English speaker that can correct them immediately on the spot, like immediate feedback, not just general feedback, but like very specific, targeted, like you pronounced this word incorrectly. And it's like live, right? So that's pretty much it. It's just like done through the video chat. So most of my students don't actually even live in Cluj, in the city I live in. Most of them, like I had students even in England, because they wanted to improve their English. They moved there, and it's more practical for them. They could just do it from home or from work, and all they need is a laptop with a headset or earphones. I also have students from Ukraine, from Russia, from all mostly Europe, but most of the potential students are probably in China. But I haven't been able to break through that market yet.
Wow. Well, I'm sure it's competitive. So that's one aspect of your daily living,
Yep.
teaching. Does
Yeah.
it make enough money?
Definitely not.
So, how do you survive?
Well, my co-living business covers most of my expenses, and my teaching business provides me the rest of the money that I need to get by. But like, if I want to be able to put more money to save or to invest in something else, I need to expand what I'm doing or do something new. So right now, my best option is to expand this co-living business because that's what I'm good at and that's what I really enjoy doing. My second option is to start something new. So, I mean, the thing I've been thinking of starting working on is like a life coach online and in-person type of business. And many people are willing to pay a lot of money for that because it's hard to really justify like experience. Like there's not many people who have gone through what I have, like moving to another country, starting a business in another country, and having to figure all that out because it's not that easy, and some people don't have time to figure it out, and or they want to save time, so they're willing to pay someone else that's gone through that before and give them the advice they need to you know figure things out much more quickly.
So you're saying that moving to another country, settling there, opening a business is not that easy.
No,
What's difficult about it?
there's a lot.
From your
So
experience, give me some examples of what have been difficult times in your journey.
um most difficult, I think, for me it was like understanding how people do things. People do things very differently there, like, and they have different expectations and they communicate differently. And you can't just walk in and do things like the way you're used to doing it because people aren't used to it and they're going to react differently. So you have to kind of get on their level. You have to understand like how they do things and kind of communicate with their language. Even though I'm speaking English and they all speak English, or I speak Romanian, it's still the style of communication, like how you you tell them what you want or how you ask for something, and just understanding like people's priorities and the way they make decisions. It was hard for me to like relate with a lot of people because of my perspective here in the States. A lot of people in Romania like have a very different perspective of how things should be done. And when I tell them how I do things, like it boggles their mind. They're just like, "What? How do you do it? Like that doesn't make any sense. It's not right or whatever." But that's because I see things differently than they do.
Can you think of an instance, like an episode of that source when you actually had that type of experience?
Yeah, so like at my co-living space, every single person who asked me about it, they're like, "What? You live with three random strangers? Aren't you afraid they're gonna break in and kill you at night or something?" Well, no, I'm not at all, because I think the way it's like set up makes it it's just unlikely to happen. And I think people have these kind of irrational fears because they don't understand what's happening around the world. Like they don't see how people really are and why people do things. Like I've traveled a bit, so I understand, and I've seen a lot of good and a lot of bad to compare to. So I'm not concerned if someone just walks in, even if they do, which actually has happened before. I was just cooking in the kitchen and someone just walks in and they opened the fridge and I asked them what the heck are they doing. There was some old guy, I don't know. And I'm not really concerned with that, but like
Potential customer?
no, just a random
Just a random person
random guy. Not from the street. He was like living in the building as well. There's other short-term rentals in the building I'm in, and he was staying at one of those, and he thought it was like a common area or something. I don't know. Anyway, like each bedroom door has their own lock. So if you're unsafe, you can just lock your bedroom door when you go to sleep or whatever. But I don't even lock the front door to my apartment, just because it's just a hassle to have to lock it and unlock it. That's something that like a lot of people just can't get past. Like, how do you not lock the apartment door? Or aren't you afraid when you live with random people they're gonna kill you or whatever? And like people don't understand. Like I guess these people have these problems because they don't deal with people often enough, and they don't understand that like you can see the crazies really easily. You can spot them.
But do you lock the front door here?
I because my parents do, yeah.
They lock it.
Also, there's a lot there's a lot more stuff to steal here than there is at my place. Like it's very minimalist. So the common areas don't have like there's no TV in the place. Like there's not so if a thief comes in, the most valuable thing they can steal is probably like the appliances, the fridge, the oven, the stove, whatever. But I really don't think anyone's gonna steal that because it's on a fourth floor. So good luck trying to take that down the stairs. Other than that, the only other thing I have in the common areas are board games that are worth anything. I mean, board games are not worth that much, and they're big and they take up a lot of space. So whatever. Everything that's worth anything is in my room, and that's how it's like. It's a standard that people see when they come, and they understand that. So they're not worried about it being unlocked either because like there's nothing much for a thief to even do.
Have there been instances when you felt unsafe? Not in your home, but in the city.
No, actually, I was talking to some friends about Cluj, and I asked someone like, "What are the most unsafe places in Cluj?" And we had trouble thinking. Like, I don't know actually. We don't know any places that are like really unsafe. There are places that are less nice, but nothing really like dangerous or anything like that. I've never really felt unsafe. I guess like after spending so much time not driving, I look at the roads as the most dangerous place to be, and I guess that's the most unsafe place I feel. Especially when I'm biking. When I'm riding my bike, and drivers in Romania are a lot more crazy than like Phoenix, and Cluj compared to Phoenix are more crazier. So sometimes I feel unsafe when I'm biking, but that's because I'm, next to cars. But like as far as interacting with people, I don't really ever feel unsafe. But that's also because I took self-defense. So like I'm confident with my ability to like read people and defend myself. So I might approach these people very differently than like other people who've never taken self-defense or don't have as much experience interacting with a lot of people as much as I do.
So what do you think is going to happen next for you? What are you thinking about doing?
Well, I'm gonna expand this co-living business. I mean, if this works out, then I'll do that. If not, then I'm gonna work on this online coaching business. But I mean, I have other stuff that I've been working on as well, like application. A big reason I went to Cluj was because it's a very tech-oriented city, so I've been going to a lot of like hackathons where I can present a startup idea. So I have like two startup ideas that I'm trying to find a team for. Um, that's pretty much taking up all my time.
And in terms of social interactions, how are you doing in that area?
So in that area,
Friends?
when I first moved to Cluj, I was teaching English online and obviously from home. And I felt super isolated because I just wasn't meeting anyone new. Like I lived with my cousin and her husband, but they're at work most of the time and it was, the same two people all the time. So unless I went out of the house and made a conscious effort to meet people, I wasn't meeting anyone. Or like if I went to events and stuff. But that's a big reason why I started this co-living business because people who work from home have the same problem and they don't want to spend time trying to meet people when they go to a new city. So the people that, because I have like people that come and go, most of my residents stay like between 1 to 5 months on average, I'd say. So I have like not the same people every time. There's always someone. There's a good influx of new people and old people. But I also host a board game night every week or every 2 weeks at my place. It's big enough for that, which is nice because now I have like that group of friends that all come over and we just play board games for a few hours once or twice or once a week or once every 2 weeks.
So the people who stay between 1 and 5 months in your apartment, why are they in Cluj? Are they foreigners or
Yeah, mostly foreigners. Of all the people, I had one Romanian stay there, like medium to long term. The rest were just like for short term, like
pleasure or business or
just to live in Cluj. People like have the flexibility now, especially people who work remotely or people who work online or have a business and they don't have to be in any city. They want to live in a city that's very nice and with a low cost of living. And Cluj has a low cost of living and it's very nice and it's very like foreigner friendly. Everyone speaks English. Like I have a guy living there. He's like 50 years old and he's also teaching English in person, but he doesn't know Romanian. He's from England. Like he only knows English. And he's been living there no problem for almost over a year now. So a lot of people come there because it's like a little hidden away and it's not too touristy, but it's nice to live there for a few months. And Romania is outside of the Schengen zone, so people that reach their limit inside the Schengen zone go to Romania. So I met a lot of people like in Bucharest and Cluj that say that, oh, well, I can't stay inside the Schengen zone anymore since Romania is outside. I can stay in Romania for a while and then I can come back.
there's a limit to stay in the Schengen zone?
Yeah, there's a limit. It's different for each person depending on where they're from. But I've heard this from a lot of people, like Americans. Like you can only stay, I don't know how many months, like 90 days, I think, inside the Schengen zone before you have to spend how much time outside, something like that.
Or like here, we have to go to Mexico and
Yeah,
come back or whatever. Yeah.
yeah, something like that. So people go to Romania.
And all these people are single and they just pick up and they move to another place.
Most of them, yeah. But there are couples that come through. Like the first few clients I had were just couples. And like the rooms I have are good for couples or good for single people. So by far the most has been couples. That's probably because like you don't have a private bathroom, so maybe for them it's not as convenient. But yeah, there's couples and there's single people that come through.
Very interesting. I had no idea this type of living existed
Yeah,
because we have been living in the same house for the last close to 17 years. Same with you. You wouldn't be backing up and going to somewhere where it's cheaper just for the experience. So I'm very pleasantly surprised. I would do it if I didn't have the kids. I think it's a great way of living your life and acquiring new experiences
And
and
it's
meeting new
expanding
people.
actually this type of
Lifestyle.
lifestyle.
Wow.
but yeah, people want that lifestyle. Like they want to have that kind of lifestyle, and especially nowadays, less people are owning homes, and so they're not like tied to a location. And now more people are also working remotely. More people are doing freelance work online and that sort of stuff, or like business owners or whatever, entrepreneurs that have online businesses and don't need to be in a physical location. They just say, okay, well, why should I live in San Francisco where the cost of living is through the roof when I could live somewhere else and get the same stuff done?
Yeah.
But I mean, it is nice to live in that city. There are things you can't really compare, but there are things about Cluj that other cities don't have. Like when I compare it to Phoenix, it has like a lot of green trees and bushes and grass, and it has a river going through the city, like an actual river, not like a dried up river. And there's like hills nearby. So if I want to go hiking and get some nature, I just have to take a bus like 30 minutes out, and I'm in the forest. So it's easy to go hiking, and I don't need a car at all unless I want to go outside of the city, which I never do. And if I do, there's like trains and buses and a lot of options for public transportation that are much more convenient than there are here. Like you have more times that you can go, so it's more convenient. Like even going to Bucharest is really actually kind of fun for me because I take the overnight train and I get a sleeping cabin. So I just sleep on the train, I arrive in the morning, and then I have all day to spend in Bucharest.
That's really awesome. I'm starting to, the more you talk about it, the more I envy you. Because you have so much freedom. Really,
Well,
that's what it does.
I guess you could say that, but now I have to make sure that the business doesn't fall apart, so I have to go back and spend time there. And if I want to expand, then even more so. But the idea is for me to find someone to manage it for me so that it can, still bring some passive income without me having to be there. But of course, that means I have to find someone and then someone I trust and that sort of stuff. But yeah, now in a way, like I'm tied to Cluj. Like I always have to go there to make sure that my business doesn't fall apart. It's like a plant that you need to water, and if you don't, then it's just gonna die.
Right, right. So you knew a lot about Romania from your travels. uh, it was always a temporary stay. You were always the tourist, the American kid who went to see his grandparents.
Mm-hmm.
So, what exactly have you learned about Romania while living there? Tell me, what are the lessons you've learned in the last year about Romania and about yourself?
So about Romania, most people in Romania aren't as optimistic as they should be. Everyone complains too much, and it really bothers me. And I avoid those people. I like push them away. I'm like actively rude to them because I don't want them to even want to spend time around me. If you're gonna complain, go away. Like I don't need that. So I am rude to them. I push them away. I don't care about them, and
What are they complaining about?
just life. Like, oh, I don't have enough money. Oh, I don't have this. Oh, things suck. Oh, the politics suck. Oh, this leader did this one thing or said this one thing. I'm like, shut up, go away. Like, do something about your life, right? Like, don't complain. And I don't want to spend time around those kind of people. But on the other hand, there's also other people that don't complain, are more optimistic. And I think in Romania, like, I realized like the spectrum is a little more wider of like people who complain. Like there's a lot of people complain, but there's also a lot of people who are optimistic. So it's like more like on the wider spectrum. Or here, it's I guess less. There's less variety in that case.
So, these people who complain are all within your age group, or?
No, most people who complain are older than I am, and grew up in like the old times when everything was really shitty. So they didn't have like basic necessities or something like that, and they still never got out of that mindset where they should stop complaining.
So they complain. Are they comparing their life back then with their life now and complaining about the life now, or
No,
what's
I
the?
think they're comparing to other successful countries like America and seeing like a lot of social media and stuff from the internet. Like America has all these nice things, and they're like, oh, if only Romania was like America because it's so much better there. And then I come and I say, well, you're wrong because I used to live there, and I can tell you that it's not better there. It
Uh-huh.
seems better, but it's not. So I think like these people are brainwashed by social media and the internet in such a way that like they don't even understand that what they have to appreciate in Romania. But as far as like what I learned, I guess um, things take time. I mean, some things took longer than I expected. Some things did not. But
What kind of things are you talking about?
like finding someone that I can trust to work with on what I'm doing by far has been the hardest. And um, I'm still like looking for reliable people that I can work with. But as far as like getting stuff done on my own, I can do that. But I'm only one person, and I only have so much time in one day to do everything. And there's also certain things I don't want to do, like I'm just not good at, or things I don't enjoy doing, and I'd rather pay someone else to do. But finding the right people to work with is probably the hardest part. And I think for me it's a little easier because like there's that trust I mentioned earlier. Like people in Romania know that like I'm also Romanian, so they're like, oh, okay, we understand him a little better. He understands us a little better, so there's automatically a little more trust. But even so, like it's still hard to find people, the right kind of people.
Let me ask you one more thing. The last thing that I want to know. Where is home?
Where is home? Home is where I feel comfortable.
Okay. So is it here in the United States or is it in Romania?
Right now, it's in Cluj, yeah. But that's why I said it's where I feel comfortable, because it can change. And like home, like I say, where you feel comfortable, but it also involves like your environment, the people you surround yourself with, the things you do, how you spend your day. And like if I compare how I spend my time here to how I spend time in Cluj, I'm just frustrated because I want to do things that I can't do when I'm in Cluj. Like I want to be able to just walk to the park and exercise on those publicly free available exercise machines. That if I want to do that here, I have to walk half an hour to the closest place, which is like it's not even that pleasant. The only things they have there is like a dirt path and those metal poles where you can exercise. But no, like in Romania, if I'm going grocery shopping and on the way there, I'm like, oh, look, exercise machines. I could just work out and get that in on my way to the grocery store. And then I do two things, right? I kill two birds with one stone. Here, you have to specifically go to one thing, do that, and then go to the. Anyway, so there's like certain things I just can't do here. It's really frustrating for me. And yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you. So, where's home for you?
For me?
For
Home
both
is-
of you.
Home is where you feel like being home, and home is all over the earth. I I can feel home here. I can feel home in Europe. I can feel home anywhere.
microfonul spre tine.
Yeah.
Așa.
So
You guys made a place for yourselves here 20 some years ago. Close to 30 years ago, right?
right.
Take me back to that time. First of all, how long has it been? Just to be sure.
31 years. 1988.
31 years.
Yeah, 1988. We left Romania.
You left Romania.
Yeah, I left Romania in 1988.
Okay. And I know a little bit about the circumstances of your departure, but just give me a little bit. Just briefly tell me.
Okay, background is it was communism, dictatorship, and I was studying civil engineering in Timișoara. Before I was in the army guarding that stupid dictatorship premises, the palaces, um, whatever villas he had around Bucharest. That's the place I was picked up after high school and placed in the army, regular soldier. And after I was released from the army, I went studying civil engineering in Timișoara, like I said, and it was okay. Just I got sick and tired of that regime and that dictatorship and control everything. We used to have a lecturer, an American lecturer at our university, and his name was Sparkman, I remember. me and another friend that lives in Canada right now, we went to that room Mr. Sparkman has, and at that time, it was between 1984 1988, so maybe 1984, 1985, 86, 87. We were regularly going to his room to watch TV, to watch movies, because VCR was at that time very popular, and he had two VCRs. I remember Chariots of Fire, the movie I will remember forever, and also Times Magazine, Newsweek, all kind of magazines from outside Romania, because Romania was like a big prison at that time. Nobody had passport to travel except those tied to the government regime, to that communist system. So if you wanted to travel outside, there was no way. Or maybe there was a way to go to like communist country around, like Russia or Bulgaria or whatever. Not interested to see that kind of. So I was always opening my horizon towards west. My logo was "Let's Go West." I have a picture I can show you, and I was listening to Radio Free Europe, Voice of America at that time, because the only way to listen music and news and truth, it was to listen to outside radio station. Over in Romania, it was all like brainwashing. 2 hours of TV about communism only, about how good and great is communism at that time. So when I got fed up with all that BS, I decided, me and one cousin and a friend, to leave the country, even risking our lives, because at that time, if you approach the border um, at certain distance, they will send you back. But if you go closer and you are very close to the border, they will, if they see you, they will shoot you. And it was really dangerous. But we managed to cross the border. It was in November of 1988. We walked from nearby Timișoara along a channel, Bega Channel it's called, that linked Timișoara to Zrenjanin, a city in former Yugoslavia. And we crossed the border into Yugoslavia, boarded a bus from the nearby city, went to Belgrade, from Belgrade to another city by Italian border called Gorizia, planning to cross over in Italy. In Nova Gorica was in Yugoslavia and Gorizia in Italy. So we were captured, spent a week in a prison in Nova Gorica, and then they sent us back to Belgrade, another prison, 1 month, and we had to go through a screening. United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees officer, they will come and interview, see if you are allowed to stay under their protection, or they will send you back. I was lucky, I got protection, spent 20 months in a refugee camp, and I went to Canada. So from Canada, yeah, I felt free first time in 1989, 1990 when I got to Canada, 1990 when I got to Canada. And yeah, I am grateful for that, and I feel free now. I was always like an adventurer, and I like guns and to travel. So when I changed. My wife, actually, we've met in a refugee camp. So my future wife, came to the US. I went to Canada, and we could decide either to move. I moved to the US or she moved to Canada. I decided to move to US. We settled in the US, and then life as usual. Study, work, and enjoying life. And this is our life till now.
So then you had the boys,
Right.
and your life probably revolved around the boys because that's how we function. How did you imagine life?
Yeah,
When you
well,
had the boys, what were your aspirations?
my aspiration. Well, yeah, in Detroit, yeah, we got married and we had two boys, and um, we were working on our career. to succeed, because at the beginning it's really hard coming from a refugee camp with nothing. So I went to school, my wife went to school for different profession. I worked for a while for Chrysler, then over in Detroit the climate is very humid and cold, almost 8 months a year. We came here to visit in Southwest Phoenix, Arizona, and decided to move here. So all the money we made, invested here, moved here, and we had our aspiration for our kids to go to university and have a good life. And they did. They did go to ASU. One graduated from ASU, the other one didn't graduate yet. So hopefully in the future sometime. And like we combine life and our work and pleasure with life in life, because we are that kind of persons that we want to enjoy life, because just like workaholic, it's not that type of person to fit us, and we are trying to have a balance in life. And we travel a lot. We travel as much as we can, and to open up our horizon, our kids' perspectives, and I see life is good. So life is good, and we enjoy. That's what we do.
So 31 years later, you have a stable home, you have a beautiful family, you have a career, you have your kids, and all of a sudden, one of the two says goodbye. Tell me about that, Maria. Why don't you tell me about that?
Oh my God.
How did that go?
Wow. I was very stressful when he decided to move to Romania because I don't know. I feel like in Romania it's not secure. Like I don't feel like I'm financially secured. Let's say that over there in Romania. So being here for 30 years, I felt like, oh my God, now you're going back there and you're gonna struggle and be so stressed. And after you went to school here, you can have a good career here in the US. Now you're going back to Romania. It's, I don't know, for me it seems like go back in time because it's very hard. Still corruption. I see that it's still corruption in Romania, and it's like him growing up here and have the life here to go back. I don't know. It was hard, very hard. Now I'm getting to like to be a little bit comfortable, but still, it's just too much for him, I think, to handle everything over there by himself.
So you were concerned about him not being able to adjust?
I don't know about just, it's about, for me, it's about financially. So he's like struggling over there and it's so stressed. I can tell he's very stressful. And I don't know, I see easier here to find a good job here. And it's not really like I like him the way that he wants to do, like to work online and be able to live wherever he want to live. But the way he wants it, I don't know. It's kind of hard to find like a job online and be financially secure. I don't know. It's different generation, different thinking.
What do you think, Johnny?
I think
Is mom legitimately concerned?
well, she said it's hard to find work online, but it's hard to find the kind of work I want to do online
And from
because
anywhere, or from here, or from there?
it's not the independence that's the hard part. It's the full-time job. I like because I want to spend my time trying to work on my businesses. I can't take a full-time job because then I'll be even more stressed trying to get my businesses going after I work, and that doesn't make sense to me. A big reason I moved was because I wanted to have more balance between like work and life and not have to spend 40 hours a week sitting down in the office doing the same thing every day. And that's why I couldn't work anymore at Amazon. So yeah, like I did interview for a really nice job. It was a full-time job online, completely remote. But I ended up not following through with it because I just didn't want to sit at the computer for 40 hours a week doing that one job, even though it's like really like it was a really nice job. And one of my guests that stayed at my Airbnb referred me and recommended the company, and it looks nice and everything, but I only would have done it if they were willing to do it for part time or like, or less. I That's like a goal I set for myself. Like my plan B, I can always just go back and work a full-time job online or in person
In
in
Romania.
in Romania or in America. Like I can just leave at any point in time. It's not that bad. But I'm sticking through with it because I want to be able to grow my businesses and in the future not have to work 40 hours a week when I have kids. I'd rather spend my time raising my kids, spending time with my family, and not having to, pay a nanny to do that for me. Because then what's the point?
Yeah, yeah, very true. Did it ever cross your mind to go back, Johnny?
To Romania?
Yeah, to move back.
Well, Europe looks like and especially Romania, it's getting better being part of European Union. Everything is falling into pieces because the regulation is from European Union right now. So I think in the future, sometimes uh, it's gonna be a same like over in Germany or in France or in those European countries that, and I don't know, my future, I'm seeing maybe half time here, half over in Europe, half time, but when I retire only, not now. When I'm still working, I cannot be over there just to travel to visit my parents and just to visit.
But not to move there permanently.
Not now, not now.
No.
Maybe after I retire, if we'll see what the future brings and how the time will change. Because still over in Romania, the remaining communist roots, they were there and they are still there. Well, right now they are getting weaker and weaker. The time changes and the young generation are really trying to change hard what was left from the communist era. And hopefully they're gonna change into better and better. And after we retire, we can go enjoy life in Europe and here. So maybe because here is too hot during summer, we can go there, and then winter time we come here because we have our home here and we can travel. We have our parents' home over in Romania.
You will be snowbirds in Europe.
Right, yeah, snowbirds in Europe.
Yeah, if we can afford.
Yeah, if we can afford, then our health is gonna be. So who knows? We'll see. What
What do you miss from here when you go back there?
Oh, okay. What do I miss? Tacos. Mexican food, tacos, and how easy it is to find stuff to buy. Like if I want to buy something, it's like shipping services are really, really efficient here in the United States, where in Romania it's not, and it takes forever and it's unreliable. Um, so if I want to buy something, I could ship it from Amazon in 2 days. It's here on my doorstep, or I can go to one of the giant stores nearby, like Walmart or whatever, and find everything I need. I miss having a car, even though as much as I hate it, I miss it because I had a really good sound system and my car was really cool, and I like to listen to music, and I miss being able to listen to music in a car with a nice system. It's hard to replicate that, and the experience is really hard to like replicate. And I guess like the lifestyle of being in a car, it's very comfortable. So even though I miss the comfort, I also don't, because getting too comfortable is not good either. And especially for me, like with my hip, it hurts to sit too much and to drive too much, or to work, sit in the computer. What else do I miss? I miss, I guess, like my friends. Um, I missed Chipotle. There's more food options here, so like, um, if you want fast food at 2 a.m., you could just drive anywhere and find whatever at any time of the day almost. Whereas over there, the only fast food option you have is like shawarma. I mean, as far as fast food goes, it's actually not that bad because they have a lot of vegetables and stuff. But, you get tired of eating that as the only fast food option.
And when you're here, do you miss something from Romania?
What do I miss from Romania? So I miss um like being able to walk, being able to ride my bike. And as weird as it sounds, I miss the cold weather because it makes people have to wear like different kinds of fashion styles. So like I like fashion, and in Phoenix people don't know fashion. They don't understand fashion. You know what they do? They wear pants and a shirt, and when it's cold they put on a sweater. That's it. They don't wear. They're like, what are you doing wearing a scarf? What? Or like a nice hat or a nice coat, or no, nobody has that.
Well, what do you mean? They have pajamas. They go to Walmart in
Yeah,
pajamas.
yeah. Go to pajamas and warmer. Okay. No, like I like fashion, and it's like because there's 4 seasons, you can be fashionable, and like the winter brings like a different type of like indoor culture, and if your place is big enough to accommodate for more people, it's like really nice to just invite people over and sit down and have like a hot chocolate or coffee and play some board games when it's really cold outside, or when it's raining, or like when you can't go outside, you're like, okay, just come over and play some board games. Like over here it's different, and being able to like hang out or spend time or see someone in town at any moment's notice, just because I can walk in town, it's easy to do that, whereas here it's not really like the case. So I miss that, like the social life there.
I remember when you guys told me that he was moving back to Romania. We were talking about it, and I'm sure many other people knew about it. What were people saying when you were telling them our son is moving back?
Yeah, well, when he decided to move back to Europe, because first he didn't choose Romania, he was thinking first to go to Asia, and then didn't like Asia, and then decided to go to Europe somewhere, and finally settled to Romania because he speaks Romanian, he reads Romanian. So uh, people here, they were kind of how you say, like.
Suspicious?
Like
No,
shocked.
no
Like
suspicious.
shocked, I think,
Kind
yeah.
of, yeah, shocked because he was born here, he grew up here, he went to school here, and it's America. Everybody wants to come to America, and he decided to go back to Europe. But I guess it's his decision, and don't matter what people think. If he likes it over there, it's his life, and hopefully he can manage to survive there and prosper and make a good living. And whenever he is not comfortable, he can come back here anytime. Home, he's got a home here, he's got his parents, so life is good anyway, here or over in Europe.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you. Much appreciated.
You're welcome.
Doi mai poți să stau că 5 ceasuri aici sunt
Să mai te
povestit.
povestim. Cu ce o să povestim? Oi, 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 cât e.